Welcome to Terry's Kitchen, where we talk food, faith, and family. Today we're making homemade applesauce and using our crock-pot. But before we do that, I'd like to go ahead and read a devotion. So because we are making applesauce, I ran across Genesis 1:29 through 31 out of the NIV Bible. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food, and to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds of the air, and all the creatures that move on the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. So, very fitting for our applesauce, because that's definitely the fruit, the apple tree, and the fruit for our applesauce. So, but before I go and wash my hands and begin assembling the applesauce, my mom has been staying with us. She had surgery, and she gave me a recipe book that she's had for many years, and it's the Shenandoah County Heritage Cookbook, and it was compiled by the Auxiliary of Shenandoah County Memorial Hospital. So that's been many years that the hospital was named that. And going through this the other evening, I just, remembering some of the names, some of the foods, but most importantly, there were some sayings in this cookbook that I want to share with you today. Recipe for a happy day. 1 cup friendly words. 2 heaping cups of understanding. 4 heaping teaspoons time and patience. Pinch of warm personality. A dash of humor. Measure words carefully. Add heaping amounts of understanding. Use generous amounts of time and patience. Cook with gas on front burner. Keep temperature low. Do not boil. Add dash of humor. Pinch of warm personality. Season to taste with spice of life. Serve in individual molds. Guaranteed never to fail. What a blessing that was when I read that, and I just wanted to share that with you all, because if we start making that recipe, we'll have a wonderful, happy day, and others will experience that as well. So let me wash my hands and let's get started. Now it's the beginning of April, and some people may say, why are you making applesauce now? I had bought a bushel of apples probably in end of February at an orchard up in Pennsylvania, and they were Evercrisp apples, and I needed to really use them up, so I thought I'd make some applesauce. I do a crock pot of my applesauce, and it is, I think it's quick. You can just put your apple slices in here, and then it cooks on low for a couple hours, and then you just mash it, and then I freeze it. So because Mom has been staying with us, she's already peeled all my apples, and I used a apple cutter slicer, and it makes real quick work. So I'm just going to finish this one last apple. So you're going to take the skins off of it. And again, I try to, when you're cooking, try to make, because everybody's lives are busy. So I wanted to, how can we make this easy for myself when I was working? And when I started using this versus cutting them in half, taking the seeds out, I was like, oh, that's quick work. So I can do this whole pot of applesauce, get my apples peeled in, 10 minutes or so. So after you've peeled your apple, leaving it whole, you just put it through the little apple slicer, and look at there. You've got quick work, and you've peeled all those apples. So let's put this to the side, our little scrap pot. And so, as I said, I've got my crock pot on low, and because I'm not in a rush today, I'll put it on low, you do not add any water to it. You just dump them in. Ooh, I'm going to have a nice big pot of applesauce. So then you just put that around, put your lid on top, and then you're good to go for a couple hours. I'll watch that because they're a little mushy a little bit. It's not going to take long. So we're going to let that cook. I'll let you know how long it took, and we'll have applesauce here in a couple hours. So the applesauce has finished cooking, and we have cooked that for about 4 hours. I did have to turn it on high. The Evercrisp apples, it was taking a while for them to start softening up, and Golden Delicious is a really apple that really cooks up quickly. The Evercrisp is more like a Honeycrisp apple, and it's a little firmer, so it did take a little bit of time, so I did move that up to high. So if you want to cook it on low, if you have Evercrisp apples and you want to cook it on low for maybe 6 hours, you can. But the reason I like Crock-Pot Applesauce is it kind of gives it a brown caramelized kind of flavor versus cooking it on top of the stove. But you could certainly cook it up on top of the stove if you wanted to, but I just like the Crock-Pot version myself. So as you can see, they're kind of already starting to break up. There's a lot of liquid in here. We like a chunky applesauce. You can certainly put your sauce into a food processor if you wanted it really, really smooth. You can put it in, I guess you could do a blender if you didn't have a food processor. You could probably even do it in a mixer. Just whatever's going to get it to the consistency that you like. So I do this process. I'm using a potato masher, and I'm just pushing that down. I know years ago when Mom made applesauce, she would peel it and take the seeds out, put it in a big old pot, and then she would cook it down, had a little water in it, and cook it down, and then put it in the old-fashioned sieves that we used to have. So, but this is a quick and easy way that you can do this for your family. If you have some apples that are laying around and you want to make a little bit of applesauce, you know, hopefully you would consider trying this for your kitchen and have for your family. Now, with apples, there's a lot of times I do not put any sugar in it, but if you wanted to put some sugar, you can put some white sugar. You could even do brown sugar. And if you wanted to add a little bit of cinnamon to your sauce, you could do that. And I've even added, at times, and Kathryn really likes this, is Red Hots. And it already has your cinnamon flavor. It makes it a nice, pretty kind of pink tinge to it. So just, you know, make your sauce to what is your family's like and consistency. So I think this is a nice chunky kind of applesauce, so I'm going to move this over into our pan, well, our bowl. Now it is hot, so just be careful. I don't want anybody to get, when you're doing this process, to get burnt. So I'm going to taste it and kind of see if I needed to add any different type of flavoring. Kathryn and Chris are coming over tonight, so I may put a little bit of the Red Hots in there and save a little bowl for our dinner this evening. So let me grab a spoon. It could be very hot. That could be very good just as it is. If you, again, if your family would like to have a little bit of flavoring in that, you certainly could. Very good. So once, I think as I said, I'm going to do the Red Hots. But once your sauce is cooled, These are my containers that I put I'm on the freezer, so if I don't, I'm certainly not going to be able to use all of this in the next couple of days. So I think I'm going to freeze a couple pints. And so you just would fill it up to here once it's completely cooled. Give a little room for it to expand when it freezes. You can mark on it applesauce 2022, and it's a great something to pull out in the winter time if you're doing the sauce in the fall, or even during the summertime. It's great to have homemade applesauce. So I hope that you would consider trying this. I'm going to put a few Red Hots in there while it's hot, and that way all that heat in there will help that to melt and give that little bit of cinnamon pop. So that's our homemade applesauce. It's going to take a little bit of time for those to melt, but they will, and they'll bring a little spice into our sauce. So I hope you would consider making applesauce for your family. And thank you so much for coming and watching our videos. If you like the videos, please hit subscribe and share, and hit like if you like it. And any comments we do appreciate. And thank you so much, and blessings.